Good morning. It's 10 o'clock on the dot, so we're going to get started and honor all of your time. Thank you for your patience as we've rescheduled and moved the April to May to accommodate April vacation. We hope you took some time to rest, rejuvenate, as we then begin our final stretch now into the end of the school year. So welcome to May office hours. We're going to dive right in. Our department staff will introduce themselves as we go along in each of the sections. Of course, feel free to use the chat function to share any questions that you have and any ideas that you have. You'll see why I've mentioned that in a few minutes. But anything you want to share with us, you can put in the chat. We'll either respond directly in the chat to your question, or if not, if we're unable to and we don't have the information, we'll make sure we follow up with the group with any questions and responses that we need to find the answers to. So without further ado, we'll dive right in. So this month, we're going to focus on drawdown of funds, changes to liquidation dates, a reminder about July office hours. We recognize that folks often take July off. We are going to keep the July date and we'll record it, we'll send it out, so at least those updates will be provided. We'll give you some team-specific updates, and then, as always, there's an opportunity for question and answers at the end of the session. Shelley.
Good morning, folks. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Shelley Shasti-Jandro. I'm the director of the ESEA Federal Program. And this slide is really to draw your attention to some funds and their period of performance. As you folks know, we want to plan accordingly for all uses and all funding sources. So we try to provide you with as much information as possible, as well as the updated information. So it provides you information between ESEA, IDA, and adult ed programs with their period of performance, because as you know, we might be running multiple fiscal years all at the same time. So from my perspective, I'll draw your attention to ESEA FY23 and FY24. We know that those funds need to be obligated by 9/30 of 2025, and we do have some funds still remaining at the table. So again, encourage you to submit invoices, but also to really refine what you folks are doing at the local level and maybe revisit your application for revisions that might be needed.
Good morning, I'm Colleen O'Neill. I'm the Assistant Fiscal Coordinator for the Office of Special Services and Inclusive Education. And I just wanted to talk about timely drawdown of funds and some key terms that you'll hear us use over and over again about drawing down and your period of performance for your grants. So the period of performance is the time that the grant recipient can incur new obligations to carry out work, services, and purchase items approved in the application. One thing that we do encourage, obviously, is to make sure that you're entering into those contracts and service agreements prior to the obligation date. We don't want to see, if possible, obligation dates of 9/29 to start a project when that is really the end of the time that you should be looking to wrap up those expenditures and agreements. Obligation is the legal commitment to spend funds through signed contracts, purchase agreements, and invoices. Just be mindful that sometimes purchase orders are not really what we're considering a legal binding document. We want to make sure that, again, on September 30th, you're not entering into a purchase order with thousands of dollars worth of supplies and materials to be delivered over the next 2 months. You should be, getting those purchases delivered already and wrapping up that invoicing so you can get it checked in and invoiced request to us. Closeout and liquidation is really the final stage of the grant process, where you're submitting your final request and you're reporting and getting your invoices paid. Next slide, please. So we do have requirements, obviously, based on the amount of funds that you receive in different grants. At the very least, you should be, if you are a recipient of less than $250,000, a quarterly reimbursement request is required. And so the quarters would be, September 30th, December 31st, March 31st, and then June 30th. Any recipient receiving over that amount, we require a monthly invoice submission with the required backup documentation. And that could consist of a detailed expenditure report, trial balance, time and effort, certifications, invoices, copies of contracts. It could be, again, a sampling of invoices from different categories that you're requesting reimbursement in. And while the teams may approve invoices very quickly and turn them around to get them downstairs to our accountants in DAFs, they have another sort of period of time where they can process and get things through their system, and that often takes up to 30 days. If you notice that those funds are sitting there for a longer period, please reach out to your contact here at DOE. Things do tend to get stuck sometimes, and as we know, you're not able to submit another invoice until it has cleared that sort of state accounting system paid status. So if you're seeing things kind of bottlenecked and you're ready to submit another invoice and it's been over that 30-day mark, please reach out and we can see what we can do to help move that along. Next slide. Just an update on the liquidation of funds. This was a update that all of the programs, federal programs, did effective February 27th. You can see the changes in 2 CFR 200.344. The obligation dates for all of the different federal funding grants in the first column, and then all of the closeouts before December 30th. That is the final date that you can receive those funds. And we have now required that all of those invoices be submitted before December 15th, and we highly encourage before December 15th. If they're submitted after December 15th, they are no longer going to be available. Those funds will no longer be available. Thank you.
We want to make you aware of a business manager bootcamp that we're planning on hosting during the annual summit. So that will be August 5th and 6th, and it's going to be in collaboration with Maine ASBO. We're working with them to put this on, and it'll be a 2-day event within the annual summit. It's designed for new and returning business managers. We've given you some bullets on that slide of the areas that we're going to be focusing on. But if there are some other helpful topics that you think would be good to include in the bootcamp, if you want to put them in the chat or email them directly to me, that would be helpful. As we continue to frame out what that content looks like, we can make sure we can incorporate some of those topics that would be best useful to you. Information regarding registration for the annual summit will be going out. I think it's already been released, so it should be on our social media, but it's on our website, and we can put the link into the chat and make sure you have that. But it's a 2-day event, and it's August 5th and 6th. So wanted to make sure you're aware of that. Our office hours that remain for the 24-25 school year, our last one will be July 24th, and it will stay at the same 10 a.m. time. We'll record it as we always do with these, and we'll put it on our federal programs website. And then we also share the recording and the slide deck with Maine ASBO if you are a member of Maine ASBO, to make sure that if you don't check the website, you still have the opportunity to access the recording and the applicable slide deck. So we will continue to do that.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyra Corson. I am the ESEA Management Analyst here at the DOE. When grant managers approve your application for funds, by ensuring these funds are being used for allowable expenses, they are assuming and trusting that the SEU has all required policies and procedures in place to manage the funds. This allows for timely submission of invoices and mitigates the risk for delays in payment. Once the Maine DOE receives an invoice in approvable form, we have up to 30 days to issue payment. What does approvable form mean? That means that we're not sending the invoice back for additional documentation or unallowable expenses, because if that happens, when you resubmit that invoice, the clock starts all over again. Please keep in mind that detailed expenditure reports are different from a summary expenditure report, and the service period on the detailed expenditure report should match your service period on the request page in Grants for Me. Tuition reimbursement invoices with details, meaning what course was taken, who took it, and what the dates of the course was given. Professional development conferences, travel, registration, all of that we need to see receipts for. This is to ensure that the expenses did indeed occur during the period of performance of the grant.
Yes.
Next slide, sorry. This is just a reminder as we are getting close to the end of the 24-25 school year. Accrued salaries are for wages earned during this school year cannot be paid with current year funds, meaning the FY26 funds. Invoicing monthly, y'all know if you receive over 250,000 that you must invoice monthly, beginning with the FY25 grant moving forward. I do recognize that there are some issues with some districts around this requirement. Please reach out if you are having difficulties getting to the monthly invoicing, and we can see if we can work together on that.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Dichter, State Director of Adult Education. Not a whole lot of updates on this slide. We have APLA and IELC now in Grants for Me, and we'll be moving our Maine College and Career Access grant also to Grants for Me beginning on July 1st. Our Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan contracts are extended through June 30th, 2026, but will be sort of rolling closeout depending on your funding. Some of them are already ending this June. And then we just had a deadline on April 30th for AFLA, IELC, MCCA, and MJRP invoices, and the next due date will be August 15th. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Dowdy. I am representing the Career and Technical Education team today. My colleague Melissa Sherwood would be the best contact moving forward, and we do have her information at the end of the slides. So just a few reminders, like the other teams, we have quite a few active grants and periods of performance. Fiscal year for Perkins is due the 30th of September. We also have Perkins Reserve and Industry Standards due at the same time. Anyone who received the 2.7 million or portion of that for equipment funding should also be submitting by the 6/30 deadline. We're asking that folks submit invoices through Grants for Me. The group this year has been doing a fantastic job on that. Just a reminder that any invoices incurred between 7/1 and 6/30/2025, we'd want to see 100% spend down. Our final day for fiscal year Perkins budget revisions is 6/30/2025. We are still awaiting our federal allocations. So we have had quite a few questions coming in about the fiscal year 26. We are anticipating receiving something by the end of this next month, and Melissa will be communicating more information on that. Any questions that you might have can be, as I said, directed to Melissa. But we also offer open office hours on Tuesdays from 3 to 3:30 for any directors or business managers who may have questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to the adult education team. Or child nutrition team, sorry.
That's a good. Thank you, Emily. I'm Jody Truman, Child Nutrition Financial Specialist. Just have a few updates. Just a reminder for districts that are starting CEP for school year 26, superintendents must send an email to David Hartley by June 30th, and this is a hard deadline. Applications are now open for our summer food service program, and they must have an approved application before meals can be served this summer. And it is a comprehensive application process. So if your district is looking into serving meals this summer, I would highly advise you to start working on your application as soon as possible. Any interest earned for your school nutrition program must accrue to the school nutrition account fund balance. That MEFS number is 1900 for this revenue. We also have a annual financial report webinar coming up on May 22nd at 1:30, and I am posting that link in the chat if you are interested in attending that, as that I believe is due by September 1st. You can start filling it out obviously after July 1st once the account year has closed. And if you have any questions, please feel to contact me. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Tyra?
ESEA federal programs updates. The FY24 performance report was due November 1st. If you have not completed that report, you may have received a notice that your current year funds are on a temporary hold right now. Please complete those reports, complete the invoicing for expenses through 9/30/24 and get those approved as soon as possible. Your FY22 ESEA funds must be closed out in order to get an approved PR. The FY25 winter monitoring is open. We are in the process of reviewing the submissions that was due on April 7th, and we will be providing feedback for that no later than May 7th. Performance report requirements. This takes a lot of communication between the business office and the ESEA program coordinator. Within the PR is embedded in the FY24 application and grants for me. Your ESEA coordinator reports progress towards achieving measurable goals in completed projects that you have in your FY24 application. Again, we are looking to approve all remaining performance reports as soon as possible. FY22 ESEA consolidated grant application must be closed out. That means that if you had carryover in your FY22 grant application, you must go back to the FY22 grant application and report your expenditures and close that out.
Good morning again. I'm just going to give a quick update for IDEA and a lot of questions in the field regarding budgeting for FY26. We do not have any indications yet of what our allocations will be. Our application, we have to apply for funds just as you do. Our application was completed It just finished its 30-day comment posting period, and it is due to the federal DOE mid-May. Typically, it takes a couple of weeks for us to learn what our allocation is going to be, but in these sort of dynamic times, I'm not sure what that looks like this year. Regardless of whether or not we have our full allocation or know what our allocation will be, we will still open applications for substantial approval so you guys can complete them with a placeholder for funds. And we will send word when that happens, and we will also, as soon as we know your allocation, get that information out to you. Fiscal monitoring is still happening. We have been visiting all kinds of districts from Calais to Kittery, and we're about halfway through. So we have a busy May and June. I want to thank you for meeting with us. If you've been hosting our visits, thank you so much. As we get to that June kind of 30th cutoff for the school year, we'd like you to take a moment to look in Grants for Me to make sure all of your applications and year-end reports are complete. Make sure that all of those statuses are in an approved status mode. And as you're wrapping up your billing, you may come across some common billing errors, which would be about the 10% overage. Please reach out if you need help rebudgeting and redistributing those funds to get your invoices through. I can help you with that, and my contact information is at the end of this presentation. Couple of updates for other team members, the EFSO4s, making sure that if you submit an EFSO4 for your state agency client students, that your invoices are submitted by the 15th of the month for the prior month expenses. Lori Freeman on our team is the contact person who can help you with that. And we are just, again, want you to be mindful of the closing date of the FY24 funds, which will expire 9/30/2025. So we're asking that you please make sure those funds are obligated, that you are submitting your invoices and getting those into us timely. And then stay tuned for information about the FY25 year-end report, which will open usually early July. And that report is for the expenditures that incurred for the first 12 months of the FY25 grant, which would be July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions that have not been posed in the chat that people would like to unmute and ask? All right, I'm not seeing any hands raised or people coming off mute. So we'll continue. Reminder for team office hours. So we've given you a breakdown of the teams that offer office hours. Dates are also included where applicable. Some are on a weekly basis. And we've given you the July date for our federal fiscal office hours. And then our next one would be October 23 for the 25-26 school year. So links and messaging are there. And then all of the contact information for applicable team members on each of the offices and teams that you interact with. So you have it in one succinct place. So all of our contact information is available. And I believe you can still find us online. There are multiple ways that you can interact with us and get our attention. And of course, you can email us at any time, give us a call. We'll respond to your questions, concerns, and any technical assistance and support that you need. I'll give it one final opportunity for any questions. But other than that, that will wrap up our office hours for this month. And we look forward to seeing you maybe in July, but understand that you may be enjoying some well-earned vacation time. Slide 26, Wendy, give me 1 second. And that is slide 26.
I also want to remind folks that the ESEA team will not be holding office hours in May. We are out on the road doing several presentations. So we will be back in June.
Thank you, Tyra. I've moved it along to 27, so you should have that. You're welcome. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us today. If we don't speak to you before, see you in the July session. Hope you have a wonderful summer. And as always, reach out with any questions or concerns that you have. Thank you very much.